This is the FreqInOut by Freqport. This little box of magic has a bunch of really cool features, and we're going to be looking at them today. So let's take a look at the hardware first, and after that, we'll run through how we actually use the FreqInOut to turn our outboard gear, or our pedals in this case, into plugins in our DAW. That's also where I will show you how to use the FreqInOut software. Because that's the whole point of the FreqInOut. It is here to digitize your workflow. No more patch bays, no more cables, no more plugging in and unplugging your outboard gear or your pedals. You plug it in once, you get it set up, and then you can do all of your routing in the software. Let's get into it. The FreqInOut is an interface that can be added on top of any existing setup that you already have. With one FreqInOut, you can add 4 inputs and 4 outputs on top of any existing setup that you have. And if you have 2 FreqInOuts, you can add up to 8 ins and outs. With this, you can expand your setup without buying an entirely new interface. The FreqInOut has a sleek black design. At about 810 grams, this is very transportable, so you can take it anywhere. But it is also rack mountable. 1 FreqInOut would be half a rack, and 2 FreqInOuts would be a full rack. But we only have 1 here today. Now on the front, all we have is one little indicator light. This just shows you if it's on and connected. The cool stuff is on the back. On the back we have 4 line inputs and 4 line outputs. On the back we also have the power switch and an external power supply if you need it. Otherwise we have the USB-C power supply and connector. And then this little switch here is the so-called ID button. That just turns on and off the tiny display here, and it gives you ID and unit information. The FreqInOut uses 32-bit converters with up to 192 kilohertz. Now that's all there is to see on the outside, but the real magic happens inside. Time to look at the software and play with some pedals. Now here I've connected all of my 3 guitar pedals with 1 input and 1 output each. And if I want to change any of the routing or any of the signal flow, I can do that in the software in just a sec. I know this looks a wee bit wild as it is right now, but if it were outboard gear, all of the cables would be in the back. So bear with me. It is very cool, promise. First, you've got to install the software. I've already done that. Then open your session and choose a track that you want to work with. I chose this dry guitar track. Now, if we go to the plugin channel strip on the left, we can just choose Freqport FreqInOut as an insert plugin. This is what that looks like on first opening. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is go to the global hardware configuration. Now, on input and output 1, I have this Electro Harmonix Tone Wicker Big Muff. On in and out 2, I have the Electro Harmonix Mono Synth. And on port 3, I have this little homemade DIY Octafuzz. You can't buy it, it's exclusive. On the left here in the global hardware configuration, we can set the input gain, and on the right, we can set the trims. And now after setting this up, we can add the FreqInOut plugin as an insert on any of our tracks. One of the key features of the FreqInOut is the analog matrix. The analog matrix inside the FreqInOut is the thing that actually helps you effortlessly reconfigure your signal flow through all of your outboard gear that you have connected. Down here are the controls for the analog matrix. Let's turn it on. And here you see I can turn on my 3 pedals and I can change their flow. This saves so much time switching up where the pedals are and no more messing with cables and patch bays and pedal boards. Oh, I love it. And even with all of this stuff going on, you don't have to worry about latency issues. One more absolute highlight that I want to show you is the, drumroll please, hardware mix button. The hardware mix button is this little knob down here in the software. And with this, you can dry wet mix your signal going through your outboard gear. Just the hardware mix button itself makes the FreqInOut absolutely worth having. Now that I've set up my pedals and adjusted my settings the way I want them to, let me show you the last cool feature of the FreqInOut that you absolutely need to know, which is we can actually make little masks of these pedals and have them in our software. First, we click on this little camera symbol here. Then it should show you this QR code that I can just scan with my phone and take a little picture. Open the camera, scan that QR code, click here, choose take photo. Then if we like it, we can use that photo, hit upload, and oh, you can see it automatically adds the photo to our software. Apply crop, and we have it right there. Of course, you can do this with all of your pedals or with any piece of outboard gear in a rack or something. And you can save this as a preset too. That means if you have different racks and different settings, you can also have all of those saved as presets. Time to play with some pedals. In my session, I have this little DI electric guitar part. I want to make it sound way cooler, maybe even make it sound a little bit weird, and I think I have the right gear to do just that right here. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to loop this little DI guitar part. It already has a bit of an EQ, a bit of compression. It's going into a guitar amp simulation, and it is going onto a reverb bus. So now all I need to do is get some freaky pedalboard sounds onto it. And I'm going to use the completely wet signal of all of these pedals because I have the hardware mix knob in the FreqInOut software, and I'll just play around with it until I like it. Now that's kind of cool. Let's try out the mono synth. Okay, I think the mono synth and the octafuzz together sound kind of cool. Now let's listen. First without the pedals, and then while we're listening to the song, I will turn on the FreqInOut software. Now that sounds pretty darn cool, don't you think? And, as you can hear, no latency. So I've effectively taken this gear that I wouldn't use normally, it's just laying around somewhere because I'm too lazy to cable it up and route it every time, and I have turned it into a plug-in insert in my DAW. And I can do this with all of my gear, and I can use it in all of my sessions.